All right, welcome to Greg's Real Revival. Today we're going to be servicing a Lew's Speed Spool Laser MG low profile bait cast reel. We'll take it apart, show you how it kind of all works. We'll service it and we'll get it put back together. All right, so first thing we'll remove our handle. And as we do that, we're just going to lay the parts out in the order we take them off, so we'll know where they go when we need to put them back together. Okay. Also, if you're going to do this yourself, you might consider taking pictures. All right, so that screw is still in that cap. Set that right there. If you come to a part that looks kind of scary, something you're not comfortable with, just take a picture, and then you'll have to refer back to. All right, let's take the handle nut off here. Handle. Here's our little handle tensioner spring. All right, for the anti-reverse, just back it off there. All right, there it is right there. Nothing inside there. Next thing, there is this kind of a collar, holds everything down, helps you increase the drag when you spin the drag star. Here are our tensioner washers. Lay those down. All right, and set that there. I've got a dog that wants in the house. We'll let him in real quick. All right, we are back. So we're going to leave that alone right there for right now. And we're going to take off this side. To do that, you need just a flathead screwdriver to loosen that. There it is. Just loosen it a couple of turns. You'll feel it kind of let go. It'll kind of spring out towards you a little bit. And when you do that, okay, you're going to pull this out. And then you're just going to push. I always just finger like right here on the spool and just kind of push, twist up. See if I can be able to pull that with this hand. And then you just want to, always easier said than done, right? You pull that out, just press up on that, and then you can just pull that straight out. Okay. So I'm going to take the spool with it this time. Just take the spool off here, right there. And there's the inside of that. Okay. So that's all there is on this side. Okay. Now what we're going to do real quick is there is a bearing right there. So we're going to have to use our bearing removal tool to get that thing off there so we can service it and then get it put back on. Okay, how do I service my bearings? What I do is I'll take them off here. I'm going to soak them in probably some acetone or maybe even some Coleman fuel, something like that. Something that will dissolve all those oils and greases and junk. And then I will take them out, let them dry for about 10 or 15 minutes, and I'll put a couple of drops of really, really light oil on them. So you set that over there, and then they'll be ready to go. All right, so let's see if we can get. Sure if you can see that, but we're basically just pushing that pin out. See if I can do it. This tool doesn't want to work with me right now. this side. I may have to go get me a pair of pliers. My bearing tool keeps bending the little end piece, and that makes it really hard to push out. So all right, see how far we can press that out. And I'm going to go grab a pair of pliers real quick, and I will come back and we'll see if we can grab that and pull that out of here. Give me just a second. Let's see if we can get this out of here real quick. So there's the pin most of the way out. Let's take this pair of pliers and see if we can just pull that out of there. May not be able to. Alright, that's not going to work. So give me just a minute. I'm going to have to straighten that right there so I can get it to where it'll push that tool out. And apparently I'm going to have to buy me a bearing removal tool. Alright, give me a few and I'll be right back after. Alright, I've got that straightened with my pliers. It's pushing on the pin and pushing it that way. This is just kind of an inexpensive tool that I bought off Amazon, I believe. So, have to replace them every once in a while. There's your pin. One side's bigger than the other, so we'll reverse that when we put that back in. Okay. Take this off here. And then that bearing will come right off. All right. So for that bearing, we will soak it, like I said, gasoline, acetone, something like that, and we will just let it dry and then oil it with a very, very light oil. Okay, to remove that bearing, I think you can see there's a little bearing retainer clip right there. I just use a little pick. Keep your finger over part of it so it doesn't fly across the room, because it's really easy to lose these things. When you look down in here, you can generally see where there's the break, where the break in the clip is, which seems to be like about right here. So I'm just going to hold this. See if I can get behind that little piece there. There we go. So I got that part out, and I'm going to put my finger on this. And there it is, right here. So that holds that in. We'll set that right there. So that came right out. All right, that's easy. So same thing, we'll service that. We'll clean that out and put that back in. All right, so there's all the fun stuff on that. Let's take this tensioner, spool tensioner knob off. That goes right there. Kind of a bunch of gunk in there. We'll get that cleaned out. There's also another clip right here for that bearing. So we'll do the same thing here. There's that. See if that'll come out for us pretty easily. Yep, I got lucky there too. All right, so we're good. That's actually the pinion gear right there, you can see. All right, so let's start taking off this side. We look and see if we have any screws on this side. We do have one right here, but that looks like it's about it. All right, let's start with this one. That's the inside one. And then these three, we're just going to lay them out here in the same configuration so we'll know where they go when we go to put this thing back together. So that's the bottom one. This is the top one. And this is the one over to the right. All right. So there those are. All right. Next thing we're going to do is we're just going to hold this and wiggle this plate off here. That stays in there. Okay, you don't need to take that out. So let's set this aside for just a second. Right in here, this is a collar that actually goes over the shaft right here. So we're gonna just press that out, come right out, not a big deal. So that goes right over there. Now right in there is your anti-reverse bearing. That do not put grease on that. It'll cause it not to work, and then you won't have any anti-reverse, and you won't know why. What I'll do is I'll just take a Q-tip, dry Q-tip. Now if it's real greasy, you might dip it in acetone or something like that that will evaporate, and just move that around there on those little pin bearings and get all that junk out of there. Alright, if you do that, you should be good to go. Alright, we're going to set this to the side. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to take off these two pinion gear springs. Pinion gear springs. Let's pull off the main gear. Alright, what we need to notice is on the bottom, first thing we have is our click ratchet. Basically what that does is when you cast and you turn your handle, this will kick this, re-engage the spool so your handle will turn it. Okay, and then we had this goes on top of this. There's nothing underneath here. No other washers. Some of them have multiple washers. Okay, and then you have your main gear, you have your drag washer, and then you have your top pressure plate right there. Alrighty. Now, this is your pinion gear and your pinion yoke. Now look right here. That is excess grease. So you know pretty much every video I'm like, don't put too much grease on your reels because that's what you're going to end up with. You're going to end up with just a bunch of big old glob of grease inside your reel. Not a big deal, it can be cleaned, but it does have a tendency to attract dirt and just junk. All right, so we'll pull this out, and then these two come apart. Okay, then we'll get that cleaned up. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and take out the shaft because we want, sometimes there's a shaft underneath your main gear, sometimes there's just sometimes there's a bushing underneath there, sometimes there is a bearing. So we need to see what that is. So to get that off, we need to take off this screw and this screw here. There's our top little screw there. Here's our bottom one here. And then we're just going to pull that off. You see it? Pull it off here, and then it's going to kind of slide out. So it just goes up under there. All right, so there is a bearing underneath there. We see it's kind of nasty, so we do need to soak that one again in some Coleman fuel, gasoline, something just to clean it all out. Okay, so get up underneath there, and that should pull right out here in a second. I say that. All right, so there it is. Okay, so we'll get all that cleaned up, and that's all there is to it. This is the level one line guide system. I will take that off and clean it, but I don't do it on video. It just takes a while and adds a lot of length to the video, so I generally don't. There is a video on my channel entitled Servicing Your Line Guide System. So if you're interested in doing that, look at that. If you do have any questions, just put them in the comments and I will catch up with them, and we'll get you answers to anything you need. All right, so we're done with this part. I'm gonna kind of get everything cleaned up, and we'll come back, we'll get it put back together. All right, welcome back. We've got it all cleaned up. We put together some of the simple things just to save time. We put that shaft, we cleaned the bearing, oiled it, put the shaft back on. So we've got that done. And we cleaned, oiled the bearing, and just put that retainer clip back in there. Same thing for the side plate, and then we use the bearing removal tool to get that bearing back on there. So those are pretty basic functions. If you do have questions about them, please holler at me, because I want you to get all the information that you need. Okay, first thing, let's start getting this put back together. Okay, I think first thing we're going to need to do is, this is our pinion gear yoke, and this is our pinion gear. We need to put some grease on that pinion gear. Just kind of, that's a bunch there. Kind of dab that around there, a little bit on the shaft there, because it's going to keep spinning around and around. So, and remember that this is going to mesh with the main gear, so it's going to get plenty of grease. Okay. There's some little angled parts on these. You can tell the angled part goes down. So we're going to put that pinion gear right there. And we're going to set it on top of those two studs. All right. Sometimes it falls over, not a big deal. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to start building the bottom of this. First thing, if you remember, your clicker plate goes on. Just put that on. Make sure that is seated all the way down on there. If it's not turning this shaft, then it is not set down there all the way. And you can see, like right there, it's turning the shaft, so I'm good. All right. Pinion gear wants to give me a fit, that's okay. Still got that on there. Okay, so we have the clicker plate on there. We're going to take this drag washer here. We're going to put a little bit of Cal's Universal drag grease on it, and we're going to smear that around there. Doesn't need a whole lot, so that's going to go on there. We're going to build our main gear real quick. Next thing that's going to sit on there is your main gear, and then your drag washer and this plate. So we're going to put all these three together real quick. First thing we're going to do is put some drag grease on here. That's a bunch, we won't need that much, so I'll wipe off the rest. So that's going to go right in here. And then this piece, it's got kind of a raised area, bell-shaped area that goes up. Okay, so that's going to sit right there. All right, now we need to do the same thing. We just need to get some grease in those teeth. All right, again, it doesn't take a whole lot. There's not a lot of space in there, and anything extra is just going to end up as extra junk inside your reel. Okay? And like I said, this shares grease with the pinion gear, so we'll have plenty. Which it doesn't take a whole lot, just enough to kind of fill up most of those grooves. All right. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to set it right down on here. And it's going to mesh, you see right there, it's going to mesh with that pinion gear. Okay, so they spin together, they share grease. Okay. Next thing I'm going to put on is this collar that we talked about earlier. It came off, or it came out in here, and we just removed it, so we got it cleaned up and put it back on there. Now we're ready to put this side plate back on. All right. This long metal piece is going to go through that big hole there, and that big hole right there is for the shaft. So I like to line that up first and then kind of rotate it around here on my shaft. So we have that, and oh, here's what we forgot. Almost got it back together, and that would have been a lot of work. You've got to put your pinion springs back on those little posts. All right. So again, we have this goes through the big hole there, and then that lines up on the shaft, and you should be able to just make sure that goes in the other side. And look how nicely, see how nicely that fits in there? That is freaking awesome. Happy with that. Okay, so we're going to put this one in here, where we had it. And we're going to put this bottom one in here, if I can get a hold of them. There we go. So I hope these videos are beneficial to you guys. This is something obviously I enjoy doing. If you do want your reel serviced, just shoot me an email at gregsreelrevival@gmail.com and we can get that set up. Generally about 20-25 bucks. If the reel's extremely filthy and it takes a whole lot of extra work, it may be a little more. But yeah, generally about 20 or 25 bucks. I'll spend probably an hour and a half on a reel, just because I'm really meticulous about trying to clean down the side and everything. Okay, so that side plate's on. Everything's turning nicely. You see I got the line guide is cleaned. So now we just need to put it all back together and it'll look and sound pretty. Okay. First thing we need to do, I believe, is this end of the shaft's going to go in first. So we're going to put just a little bit of oil on that shaft so it'll spin nicely. We're going to set that down in there. Okay. And then I'm going to put a drop of oil right here. That's going to ride in that side case right there, and I want it to be lubricated. I'll put a drop on top and then a drop on the side, and that'll be more than enough. All right, to get this back on, here's the top of the reel. We're just going to set that on there, kind of angled like that. Maybe. There we go. And just slide it down. Okay, now to secure it, you're going to go to this side. You can probably, well, just kind of pushing in with that screwdriver and just till it's snug. It doesn't have to be super, super tight. Okay? All right, so we're good there. Looks wonderful. All right, now let's get the handle and the, oh, we forgot one of the side plate screws. This is the one that goes down here. It's the benefit of kind of having everything laid out. The way you took it off, you can just kind of look and go, oh, yep, forgot something. Okay, now let's go back here. Again, we got that silver collar on. Now we're going to put your tensioner washers on. These are bowed, okay? So you want them to oppose each other. If the belly goes down on this one, you want the belly up on this one. Okay, and it looks like if I put that on like that, the belly's going to go down. And so when I look at this one, I want the belly to go up. So that's perfect. You'll see right there, there's a little bit of space in between them. That's good because that allows more pressure when you're cranking down on your drag. Next thing we have is this little spacer. It just slides on there. And we have our drag star. Spin that down. So if you get this down there and it's not quite going far enough, just take your handle, set that on there real temporarily. Just hold your handle and then you can tighten this down. And that'll allow you to put your handle on all the way. Okay, so we got that. This is our tensioner spring that goes between the drag star and the handle. And then we have our handle. I am going to be selling this reel. So if you are in the market for a speed spool, LS1HMG, it's a 7.1 to 1 gear ratio. Obviously it's just been serviced. As I don't think I said, but I did service the line guide, so it's all serviced as well. And once I get this figured out, I will get that back on there. Real repair is not, and servicing is not that difficult. It's just a matter of being patient. Okay. These parts are small, my hands are big. I think I've got some arthritis coming on my thumb, so it's kind of hard for me to handle things sometimes. Okay, so we have this cap here that goes on here. If you can get one of the points of this nut facing that hole, then you can generally get that on there. I'm going to dump out that screw, I think, so I can see through there and see, there we go, see if I got that lined up. So I should be able to look right in there, and it looks, I think I can get that in there. I think that'll go. And that just helps that nut, keeps it from backing off. All right, folks. There it is. Let's make sure it's got drag. A little more drag on there. Okay. It does have some good drag. Okay, next thing, spins really nicely. Everything's working. Click the button. Clicks back real nicely. All right, so this reel is back to new. So, like I said, if you're in the market for one of these, let me know. This one will be for sale. I will do a little bit of research. I think we're going to be in the $40 or $50 range. So, yeah, just let me know, and I can get them. We can put a deal together, and we can get it shipped to you. Otherwise, please like and subscribe to the channel. Watch all my other videos, and if you have any questions about this reel or any of the other ones, just holler at me and let me know. Appreciate y'all watching.